Welcome to Real Talk. I'm Dr. Laura Ciel.
I'm Bill Poett.
And thank you for joining us today. We love answering your questions.
It's great. People are participating literally from all over the world. People are watching in Scotland and Germany and Australia. So we are really grateful that you're engaging with us.
Yeah, so definitely if you have any questions, if anything comes up today, or if you just have something that you're wondering about in your life, in your work, it can be personal, it can be professional, just that you're wondering about and you want to hear our take on it, then send it to us. Post underneath
right under the video, right here. Just put it out there and we're going to get to it. And we've got some great questions. And that's what we do. We share our insights and thoughts openly, honestly, and as real as we can. So
absolutely.
Let's dive in. What do we have?
So today's question. My partner was gone for a while and I was feeling alone and insecure. My tendency used to be to hide this and deal with it alone, but I want to evolve in this area and lean in. How do I do this? This is from Jean in California.
Jean, being alone and insecure. I mean, there's a lot in that question.
First, I love the fact that you want to evolve and that you want to lean in.
Right. So what was the old tendency, did she say?
So the old tendency was to hide and to deal with it alone.
Okay. So my first, can I go?
Yeah, sure.
All right. In any relationship, what happens is we call them bumps. And an event can take place. Maybe your partner's traveling. Maybe it's a miscommunication that you're having together, and it doesn't feel good. And the natural tendency, and God, I don't know if we've been trained to do this or taught to do this, is when something doesn't feel good, we withdraw. And the problem with that, especially in intimate relationships, I feel it. And if I feel my partner withdraw, that doesn't feel good to me, so then I withdraw. So it's almost a snowball effect, which makes it a great question. But that would be my first thing. So how do we do that? How do you get around that? Ooh, this doesn't feel good. I'm going to pull back.
So first of all, just the fact that you notice, because we talk about becoming aware, having awareness about what's happening is that first step to be able to make any changes. So having awareness as to what old patterns usually show up for you, and we all have them as much as we work and evolve and train ourselves. We have those old patterns that we've developed from the time we were very young, whether it be from parents, whether it be from teachers, our peers as we were growing up, other authority figures as we were growing up, and we've adopted that as part of us, and it really isn't part of us. So awareness, first of all, I just want to say congratulations,
right.
You're aware of it, because so often we go through and we're reacting and we're not aware. So awareness is key, number one. And then that desire to want to evolve and to do it differently, to notice that tendency, to identify that old pattern of retreating, hiding, kind of keeping it to myself. I'll just kind of deal with this myself is, I guess what I think of when I think of that, because it's something I certainly have dealt with this in my own evolution, and that is when you retreat, when you try to just deal with it on your own, you're actually taking away you're taking away a gift for your partner. You're taking away the opportunity to create something even more beautiful, even more wonderful, even more intimate. And so I love the question, because there's an awareness and there's a desire to evolve and lean in. So I guess that gets us to, how do I do this? Or how do I do this? How do I do it differently?
Well, the thing which is so exciting to me is in every relationship, growth is what we are meant to do, and expand is what we are meant to do. So when you enter into a relationship, have that conversation. I mean, we talk about there's going to be times when there are friction. There are going to be times when you aren't connecting. There's going to be times when you're feeling bad. And so one of the things is stop. That's something you're going to hear us talk about a lot. And do a check-in. What is causing the feeling? Is it a reaction from my partner? Is it an old pattern? pattern, and connect with what's happening. And then this is so important. And then you said lean in, and that's the opposite of retreat. It's loving yourself. It's loving and trusting your partner enough to say, I'm not looking for you to fix this, because that isn't necessarily their job, but I am going to share with you what's happening with me and create an opportunity. The other thing is, these bumps that we have, I really look at as growth opportunities, so that I can learn more of my own language and what my needs are. I can communicate them to my partner, versus retreat. I withdraw. I don't share. That doesn't feel good to my partner. They have a tendency to withdraw.
And there's no opportunity for evolution there.
Right. So I really believe your intention to lean in, and I think, this is going to sound crazy, but I think honesty is great. Share with your partner what you're feeling. Don't put it on your partner. If I'm feeling insecure, that's not my partner's fault. That's something that I want to look at. But then if I'm a loving partner, I'd like to know that and hear that. But again, I think something we focus on, the responsibility in the relationship is for you to be able to self-care, for you to be able to be in integrity, for you to be able to show up whole. And sometimes that means I'm scared. That's okay. That's the other thing. I don't want my partner to be that which they're not. So show up honestly, show up with integrity, let your partner know where you're at, and I think that's the first step, and then you get to see how your partner's going to respond to that.
I'd even go back one step. I would say to connect with what it is you're intending in that relationship.
Yeah.
So really getting a clear picture of what, we talk about this a lot in our trainings, being able to really imagine, really visualize, what does that most beautiful relationship look like to you? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it smell like? What are all the different senses? If you can really get a clear picture of that, and that's why I said go back one step, is to go back and reconnect with that, because that is where you want to be making choices. That from that place is where you want to make that choice of what's the next step. So if in this particular instance you were feeling insecure, you're feeling alone, go into the place of what is it that I really want and envision for this relationship. And then the cool thing about that is, getting back to what Bill said, is you have the opportunity to check in and see, am I showing up in such a way that makes it possible, that brings me, that brings us one step closer. And it might look differently. We can't give just one answer that's going to work for everyone, but if you use this process that we teach, that we train, you have that ability to check back in, you have that ability to reconnect with that, and I guarantee you will be doing some self-care, as Bill was talking about, and you're able to show up and have a real conversation with your partner about what you really want, because out of that there may be a request that you have for yourself, for them, and it may be as simple as, can you just hold space as I process this old stuff of mine? And it may be as simple as that, because we all have old stuff, and sometimes we just need to process it, and it doesn't necessarily need to impact the relationship in a negative way. So your partner then has an opportunity to go, good, I'm not responsible for that negative feeling. I can hold space, beautiful, loving space, as they process, as they go through this.
And I would just add, think about the relationship you have with yourself. Think about how stormy that can be. So I have good days and I have bad days, and I'm in the zone and I'm out of the zone. And when we come together, recognize and honor the fact that your partner is going to have those good days and bad days. So there's this internal interaction that's happening, which really has nothing to do with my partner. Right. Then there's the dynamic that happens when we come together, and so
which is going to look different all the time.
So first of all, be okay with it not being perfect. It's okay to be insecure. Leaning in, to me, is I'm not going to retreat. I'm not going to hide, because what happens is when I retreat, I create space. I create gaps, and those gaps allow fear to enter in. They allow doubt to enter in. They allow a lot of things to enter in that can ultimately fracture the relationship. Whereas, like you said, go back. We came together because we love each other. We're committed to growing together. And remember, we're going to grow at different times and at different rates. And if you can remember that, there's a joining, there's an elevation that's going to feel so much better than that, I'm going to retreat, I'm going to fix it on my own, because you know what? Your partner's going to feel that. they're probably going to retreat, and you can see what happens. We get that, instead of a negative snowball, we want to have a positive snowball where you're leaning in, you're pushing, it gets better, you lean in, you push, and it gets better. And so really great question. And
yeah, and part of the reason we're creating love advances as well. Those will be coming up in the future that really focus in on relationship and love.
Did you just share the love advance?
Okay?
Yeah, okay, because nobody knows about the love advances yet, but they're coming.
They're coming. Yeah. So thank you very much for your question, Jean. And stick with us for next week's episode.
Yeah, and guys, please, right now, under this video, put your questions down and do us a really big favor. If you enjoy the show, share the blog. We've got those little sharing is caring, pass them up there because we want this community to grow. We really love the show. We love sharing with you guys. So we'll see you next week for another episode of Real Talk. And until then, never stop advancing.